Hello, everyone. Again, this is Dr. Mahmoud Al-Odeh, and let's go ahead and start with the project planning and management tools that we could use it for the improvement. So now, why we need this tool? Because once you need to implement the solution, you have to know exactly how would you manage the implementation. And in order to do this, you have to use some of the project management tools. And what you see here, it's an overview for the knowledge areas that, which is 12 areas for project management process. You will see an area in project management integration, scope management, time management, project cost management, quality, human resources, project communication, risk management, procurement, and purchasing management. So all these are areas um, that are existing in the project management. However, we use these tools in the Six Sigma. One of the tools that we use in Lean Six Sigma called the um, the Gantt chart. And this is on the left chart where you see uh, the implementation divided into a work breakdown structure, WBS, in order to simplify the process and divide it into subcategories to implement it. And so the Gantt chart will show you how long it will take each process. We have these processes from A to H, and you will see that for the process A, it will take for example, month and a half, or starting in January, ends on mid of February. For B, it will, or this is since it's from 1 to 16, this is the number of months. So it's not like January, February, March, etc. It's just number of months. So activity A will take you month and a half. Activity B will take you 2 months and a half. Uh, Activity C will start at the beginning of the third month and will last to the end of month four, or the beginning of month five. Uh, Activity D will start by the end of activity B. After 2 months and a half, you will have activity D, and this will end up in on month 6.5. On the After 6.5 months of the starting point of the project. So again, this is a great idea, a great tool that we could use it to manage the implementation for the improvement. And we need to just remind you about some of the rules that we use, which is part of the project management, such as the team facilitator. What the responsibility? There is a great tool that you could use it to organize the resources, to organize the activities, who's responsible. So let's take a look into the responsibility for each one of these. The team facilitator that facilitates training. So they give you a training, coaching, workshops, seminars, and brainstorming. Team leader provides directions, instructions, and guidance to a team for the purpose of achieving a certain goal. Project champion allocate and organize internal resources. So the champion responsibility is to provide the resources to ensure the successful of completing a project. So these are so great. These are we should be able to recognize what the difference between the team facilitator, team leader, and project champion. Team facilitator is facilitate brainstorming. So whenever you have a brainstorming session, there should be a team facilitator who facilitate the brainstorming session, who provide the training. Team leader provide the directions and guidelines and instructions on how to achieve a certain goal. The champion of a project will provide all the resources that the team need in order to achieve. Uh, the, the the next topic that we're going to talk about is the prototype, or what we call the pilot. So it depends on what you're doing. The prototype, if you're doing a prototype, this is a small scale of the working model, which provide idea of the final product. So if you have a product, instead of going implementing the new product right away or at full scale, what you could do a prototype where you learn from your mistakes, you collect feedbacks from others, and then you improve for the next phase. So you could do even several prototypes in order to ensure the quality. And several occasions projects are used to develop new product or services, or make radical changes to existing process. There may be a lot of uncertainty, of course, because whatever you do to ensure the quality, there is some uncertainty that we should consider and complexity because of the nature of the changes, uh, um, and we have to consider that. So by having a prototype or a small scale small scale model, you could identify issues which may have been overlooked in earlier design phases. They are also helpful too because it will ensure the buy-in from stakeholders. So you could show them instead of asking millions of dollars, $1 million without having an idea on what their hospital. So imagine that you're going to build a new hospital, and this investor and the stakeholder they have to pay a 1 million without seeing anything. So you could create a small scale model to show them what their hospital will look like. So this will encourage the buy-in from all stakeholders. Everybody will be on the same page, and provide justification about the validity of the project. They help in reducing risk and facilitate project planning and implementation. So all this is great. It's just a small scale. For example, prototyping is a commonly used tool in the construction industry where small scale prototyping of buildings, highways, etc., are created and approved by relevant um, stakeholders from the final project implementation is done. So if this is commonly in the construction area, so where you develop a prototype. Now, for the pilot solution, now once you have a solution and selected some option, what you need to do is you bring it to production, or you need to implement it. The Six Sigma team is ready to pilot this. A pilot is a limited trial. So what is the pilot study or a pilot solution? A limited trial of a solution in a live environment. So again, instead of implementing the solution for all the lines, you pick one product. You say, okay, I'm gonna apply this solution for product A for laptops, and see how we could improve based on that. So if things went well, then in this case you go and apply it for the rest of the lines for production lines. No matter how much analysis was completed or how well tested cases were run, team cannot know for certain how the solution will behave in wild, which means in the environment, in the real live environment. Benefit of a limited pilot include use of resources are limited, which reduce waste of the solution turns out to be incorrect or inefficient or ineffective in resolving the problem. So sometimes you put a lot of money and time and effort into a solution, and you did not work. And instead of wasting all these resources, and you could say, okay, well, let's try in small scale a pilot solution, a limited pilot solution, and apply it on a small scale and see how that's going to go. If it's worked, then we'll apply it. Confirmation, the second benefit was confirmation that expected results occur. Um, you have a very strong, powerful tool saying, okay, well, I did try it on this XYZ. For sure, this is going to work on another solution in another environment or another production line. Third, allows troubleshooting of a new solution on a smaller scale to minimize disruption during full transition. So once you implemented a small trial, what you could do, you could collect the feedback, you could troubleshooting the issues that you've seen, you improve on it, and then you minimize disruption for the full transition. Number 4, let's employees outside of the Six Sigma team provide a feedback on the solution and implementation to make the final rollout more successful. So it's really important to involve not only the team, but also other people in the company to provide their feedback. Now, in terms of the implementation plan, which is one of the output for the improve phase, what you need to do after selecting options, Six Sigma expert work with a project manager to create an implementation plan for the project. Project planning and management tools are used, as we mentioned, like the Gantt chart, responsibilities matrix. Maybe you have to have some prototype, a trial run for your solution. You can do that. Number 3, for the implementation plan, the implementation plan would include a detailed project plan with a planned deliverables and schedule. So you have to have a schedule. Detailed work breakdown structure should be created to ensure that all project team members know their task, rules, and responsibilities. So breakdown structure really important because each each category is divided into subcategories, and each subcategories will be assigned to a team member, and which will be responsible for that for achievement. Uh, Action plan. During the active part of improve phase, the project leader will likely delegate numerous activities to members of the team, and the team will also rely on input and assistance from those outside of the Six Sigma team. Keeping an action plan document helps everyone on the team see where they are in the process, what they are responsible for, and what date work must be completed by. Most action plan will contain common tasks such as documentation, training, and transition. So the action plan, what you need to do is it's a summary. It's a document that show a summary of what needs to be done, who has to do it, and when has to be finished. The deadline for that. So this is it's a live document updated frequently. It's shared with the team on a common area where everybody see it. So some people they provide it on electronics on a website or a shared drive. Some companies or teams they share it on a whiteboard where everybody when they go inside the company when they start their day on the morning they will see the chart. This action plan will change daily by the end of the day. See who achieved what and what other tasks need to be done. It's a checklist. It's basically a checklist where you need to know what has to be done today, how long it should take you, who's responsible, and the due date. Uh, Another part of the implementation, you have to document things. And this is where we're talking about documentation here. First, the Six Sigma team should have documented all of the work for the process, for the DMAC phases, for the process in the DMAC. They have to have, if asked, the black belt or somebody from the team should be able to present the data tables, the statistic calculation, explanation, graphical data. So these documentation should be available for them, should be tracked. They should track all these documentation, and the team will be able to, and the team should be, whenever they are asked by managers, by CEOs, they should be able to find this data and be able to share it with the rest of them. All brainstorming activities, diagrams should be saved in a central location where members can look at it and can find it, can edit it if needed. Access to these documents helps the team to be efficiently on addition to document required for implementation. So this is really important because they want to look into the documentation, the brainstorming, the result of brainstorming. Those should be available to them. Six Sigma team might be responsible for drafting such document, or they might need to work with knowledge management resources and templates. So sometimes when it's done by the team, the Six Sigma team, sometimes the company have resource management or a manager who's responsible for doing this. But however, there's an important tip here that I want to share with you, that templates there are used for the Lean Six Sigma teams. We use a lot of templates in Six Sigma projects, and therefore we have to come up with our own templates and bring it to the company where everybody will be familiar with the process. And the best way to start these templates is from the Project Management Institute. They have a lot of templates. ASQ, American Society for Quality, they have a lot of templates you could use and populated in your organization. Teams might also create general communication letter. Other staff members know about upcoming changes and the reasons for these changes, as well as general reference documents such as frequently asked questions. So one of the things that you want to document is the way for communication, the streamline for communication. Now, there should be, everybody has an opinion. In order to avoid any confusion, you have to streamline the communication, the way to communicate with people. And you could maybe document some of the frequently asked questions so you could use it as a reference for you and for your team. The next phase after documentation, what we could do, we could provide a training. After we did all the documentation, now the Six Sigma team could be in charge of staff training. Well, they are not in charge for the whole staff training. What would they do? They will train specific people, just limited people, and these people, delegates or experts, subject matter expert, will do the training for their department. So the Six Sigma team, they're not required to do the training for all the company, for all employees of the company. However, they are responsible to train these leaders in each department, and each leader in these department, or these what we call the subject matter expert, they will be trained their team. At some point, the process training should be integrated into regular organization training by trainers or knowledge management departments. So some other options where companies, they're looking into to provide the training as on a yearly basis or monthly basis, and this can be done by a third party as a contractor who can come and provide the training. Transition. This is really important. When we've done the implementation, we've done the documentation, we've done the training. Now it's time to transit, to return the process to their owners. During the improve phase of the MAC project, teams should begin to consider the need to transition a process back to the business and traditional business owner. So now we've done the improvement, we've implemented everything, we documented everything, we provided training. Now how we could transit and move the business to the process, how we could move the process to the owner of that process. Transition is part of the control phase. However, teams should move from improve to control with a good understanding of how process should be measured. So this is where one of the tasks where we're having an overlap. So it could be in the improve phase and the control phase at the same time. So we could start with it in the improve phase. However, this will end up in the control phase. Strong documentation and training during the improve phase helps cement the success of the control phase. So in order to have a successful transition, we have to have a successful improve phase. We have to have a successful documentation for these successful documentation for these documents and effort that we have done. The last slide in here, it's basically a checklist for the improve. You have to review the solutions that you've selected. You're brainstorming with different solutions. One or two top solutions were selected for action. Solutions were implemented on a limited basis, the trial basis, the pilot or prototype. Data from limited trials was analyzed and solution appeared to be work as expected. Cost-benefit analysis was performed, return on investment, payback period. Sponsor, champion, or executive steering committee signed off on implementation, the solution completely, the full implementation. All team members agree the solution should be implemented. These solutions fully documented through the standard operating procedure. This is really important documentation process. The SOPs should have it, which is a step-by-step for all of these solutions. Training materials provided. Critical staff received training on the solution and are prepared to pass the training to others. With that said, we're done with the improvement phase, and now we're going to start a new phase, which is the control phase. I hope this is helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions, whether sending me an email or comment on my videos. I need to hear from you. How are you doing with the Lean Six Sigma workshop so far? I'm more than happy to receive your questions and answer your concerns. Thank you so much.